Hello, everybody, and welcome to another social distanced episode of MTG Study Hall. I, as always, am your host, Brett, and I am joined by JC, Lily, and Tam. Before we launch into the show, Tam is going to take care of some bookkeeping for us. Take it away, Tam.
Absolutely. If you like the show and you want to support us, the best way to go to do that is out on Patreon. Patreon.com/TCG University. Sub out there at any of the levels. Get access to the podcast early and ad-free. Plus, you get a pre-show and a post-show to go with it. But if you don't have any bucks to toss, that's totally chill. You can get the whole thing with ads, no pre, no post-show, about a week later on YouTube, as well as SoundCloud, Spotify, all those awesome podcast services. Big shout outs to our sponsors who do support us, though. We've got Addy, Andrew Dang, Anthony Albano, Bryce Rastak, Chris Miner, Clay Cardwell, David. This is my first time. Nunzes? David. We got David.
Welcome, David.
Jacob, Harshan Masur, Jay Rogers, Jared Hubbard, Jesse Cervini, Jesse Morrison, Jesse Nix, John Stone, Justin Farce, Justin Hobbs, Kat Maria, Kevin Broberg, Kieran Vision, Lucinda Letica, Okami Law, Orlando Valdez, Sandoz, Paul Casagrande, Peyton Geiker, Ransom McDonald, Samantha Stevens, the baddest bitch around, Sean O'Brien, Tudor Ruiz, Tyler Zane Pease. Thank you guys so absolutely much for supporting us. You can catch us on other social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitch for some more cool stuff. Our Patreon exclusive item this month is still life counters. It's got our cool TCG logo on our life counter that goes all the way up to 40. We've got giveaways happening out on Twitch. There's more information out there on that site. And our sponsors for this week are Nuclear Inked Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop, Cards Custom Build, Ink Gaming, Deck Protection, and a new guy on the block, Red Riot Games. But we'll talk about that a bit later.
All righty. Thank you so much, Tam. Before we launch into...
New guy.
Yeah. Multiple new guys.
Yeah.
Which is good.
All the
That's a
new
good
guys.
sign.
Appreciate it. Yeah, totally.
Very much.
I didn't want to just pass that over real quick. I just want to, thank you.
We appreciate it.
JC, why don't you tell us what you've been doing in Magic this past week before we launch into all the stuff with the things?
Well, I've mostly been engaging in watching some people's reactions to how Zendikar Rising is doing and their general thoughts on how Standard has been and stuff like that. And people don't like the direction that Magic's been going recently. I think I've expressed that I think it's good, but people think Standard's been in a dangerously banny and weird place, and they think Zendikar Rising might not be that much better in some regards. So, been that I'm actually really genuinely looking into streaming Chandelar.
Ooh.
I'm looking into getting it running. I'm gonna try to get that going because I want to play this weird game.
Hear me out. Chandelar VR.
I know, right?
Can we make it happen?
Yeah, I could learn all the Unity and VR modding tools to make a VR version of it.
Oh, we'd have to make one. I didn't know if you could just you could watch a movie sit in front of a screen. Can you
I could
put
play
the
it
VR
virtual desktop and then I could stream it like I'm playing it in a movie theater or something like
Okay.
that. I don't know if people would dig that more than just seeing it on a screen though.
Okay, yeah, I think we just demonstrated Brett's complete and total lack of understanding of VR.
Hey, the Quest 2's coming out. I mean, Facebook's gonna have all your data, but it looks real cool.
There's a 40K game there's a VR 40K game where you're a sister of battle, and I've never almost that is the closest I've ever come to maybe it's time for me to get VR because that sounds awesome.
I can guarantee you there's going to be a Magic the Gathering VR, or at least a card game VR supported app coming in the eventually here.
Oh, that's something to think about. Magic, so it's related to what we're talking about. Speaking of Magic, Lily, what have you been doing this past week in Magic? Or 2 weeks? It's been 2.
Yeah, 3.
Oh, God, has it been 3? Oh, for you, yeah.
Try not to be too discouraged with the new standard and the everybody's new favorite more than 3 color commander that replaces itself and then some when you play it.
Fair enough, and we're gonna cover everything. We're gonna talk about that in just a sec. Anything else, or just mostly that?
I'll get a couple good games in, and then invariably I'll be like, yeah, this is not at all fun. And then, so no, just trying to get into a good rhythm with Brawl and Playing a limited format I don't like either. So
Alrighty. Tam, what have you been doing the past couple weeks in Magic?
Well, I've been thinking about getting into Standard because I have a fairly decent computer, and I feel like I can have a ton of copies of Scroot Storm on the field without my computer just crashing. And so if we can just like flood my computer and bunk their computer, I win the game, right?
Yes.
Is that how?
Actually,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
that was
okay,
there was a Hearthstone deck that was like that, I think, at one point.
yeah, I'm down. Why would I not be down?
And particularly when we're hitting mobile this year, so when people are playing on your phone and you can play on your big fancy rig.
About to mess up people up, dude.
Anything else?
No, that was it. I've just been seeing people's impressions of the set, seeing all the memes and such. People who play casually and competitively and their different takes on it. I'm just excited to sit down and ask you guys about how you feel about the game.
Okay. As for me, it's been good. I've been happy. I was really excited for the set to come out on Arena, and I've been really happy with the set. We'll get into this. We're going to do first impressions, but Lotto Limited did a stream yesterday where we built a new Nahiri deck in Brawl, and then we played it. And so if anyone wants to watch me kind of the process I deck build, that'll be up on the Twitch channel, and Tam might be doing some YouTube videos with some of my Brawl stuff, so when time allows, we might get some more Brawl content up on the YouTube channel as well. Other than that, I have... Tomorrow, we get the paper release, so I know I'm getting at least one box of Collector's Boosters tomorrow, hopefully two, if everything comes in shipping-wise. And then I've got half a box... Well, I've got a full box that I'm splitting with Kat of Collector's Boosters coming in the mail that I'm very excited for, and that I hope that I get, because I didn't ever get my Double Masters VIP pack, which is probably okay, because the value on those was super swingy, but I'm hoping that the place I bought that Collector's Booster box from actually sends it. So I'm looking forward very much to actually getting to build some Commander decks and tweak some Commander decks once I have cards in hand tomorrow. But that's me. And so we've basically all been talking about it. So we are going to keep talking about it, and we're going to talk about Zendikar Rising first impressions. So the set came out on Arena last Thursday, and it comes out tomorrow in paper, September 25th, Friday, September 25th, which is tomorrow of from right now when we're recording this. And yeah, because it's been out, people have been able to kind of get the standard brews going, and we've already gotten a tweet from Wizards saying that there will be well, I don't know if they straight up said there's going to be a ban restricted announcement, but it looks like there's going to be a ban announcement coming Monday, this coming Monday. So set's releasing Friday the 25th. So Monday the 28th, we're getting a ban in Standard after it's been out in paper for 3 sets, probably. We're not positive, but I think dollars to donuts, euros going bye-bye. And yeah, so... Say again?
Bet? Donut bet? We got a donut bet happening?
I don't think anyone should take this bet against me because I think you will lose.
Dang.
If you want to bet me donuts, Tam.
Oh man, it's tough. It's just because I just want to gamble, right? That's
Well,
just...
Tam, I said dollars to donuts. Dollars to donuts means I will give you $10, and you just have to give me a donut if I'm right.
Ooh. All right, I won't take it because I'll trust you as the expert.
Wouldn't it be 10 donuts if it's dollars to donuts? Like,
I don't know. I mean, that seems like that doesn't seem like that impressive of a bet then, because if it's the same amount of dollars to the same amount of donuts.
How much is Euro? How much does he cost?
$40.
I'll buy you that much in donuts.
So the thing to understand though too is the saying has been around longer than, like, I'm sure when that started being said, $1 was worth a lot more than a donut.
Many donuts, you're saying. You can exchange and dollar for many donuts, and now $1 to a donut, that actually might be a deal. If not even.
Fair.
This is what the audience tunes in for. Us to
February 1876 was when a newspaper said dollars to donuts first. Anywho, Oro seems pretty strong, right? Yeah? Seems like a good one.
Uro's is a hot, spicy garbage fire. JC, Lil, you were both kind of talking about it. Does somebody want to explain what is happening in Standard this past week on Arena with the new cards?
Lily will be more eloquent about this than I am, so please.
Oh, I'm an old salty Magic player. You do take it, JC, please.
No, I mean, like, No.
All right. Shit's broke. It's bad. So Uro, the one of the two titans from the Theros set, who we knew was probably broken from the second they previewed it the entire time it's been out, and who has made it past several ban restricted announcements, which is shocking. It was a 6/6 for 3 mana or 2 mana.
3.
3 mana. He enters the. That's right, Crocus 2. Uro's 3, he enters the battlefield. You gain 3 life, you draw a card, you can play an extra land. If he didn't enter the battlefield from your graveyard, you sacrifice him, and then you can play 2 blue, 2 green, and exile 5 cards from your yard, and he comes in as a 6/6, and then when he attacks or enters the battlefield, then he triggers again, and also when he attacks, you get to draw a card, gain 3 life, and play an extra land. Card's real good.
Who would have thought that'd be a problem in a landfall set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is important to note he's putting a land from your hand onto the battlefield, which means that he doesn't play nice with the flip lands.
No, he does not, because you can't play unless the new dual land cycle he's fine with, but not with the modal dual faced cards. But however, that's okay. Last week Tam asked what I think the most impactful card from the new set was going to be. I was close. I said Lotus Cobra, and Lotus Cobra is certainly a part of it. 4-color Omnith, who I did not expect to be making these many waves, is making a shocking amount of waves. So he is 1 white, 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 green for a 4/4. When he enters the battlefield, you draw a card. When a land enters the battlefield, if it was your first land, you gain 4 life. If it was your second land, you add 4 mana to your mana pool. It's the same casting cost, so 4 mana, not black. And if your if the third land enters the battlefield that turn, you deal 4 damage to each creature and each opponent, or is it each planeswalker?
Opponent and enemy planeswalker.
And Planeswalker, yeah.
Oh, so not creatures, just player and planeswalker.
Not creatures, thank the Lord.
Okay. So this has been the deck, and as Tam pointed out, another card, Scoot Swarm, has been breaking out and seeing a lot of stuff. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 insect token, and if you have 6 or more lands, you get a copy of Scoot. So that is exponential growth. So the first one is 2, then 4, 16, and so on with math. I have an English degree. Don't ask me to go past that. 144?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We didn't ask,
and I'm not going past that. So we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording. Tam was asking if Scoot, I don't know if you were asking or just kind of talking about Scoot Swarm being such a powerful card. I would say Scoot Swarm's not the problem. The ridiculous ramp we get with Lotus Cobra, Uro. We have Fabled Passage, which is a fetch land, so we can easily get 2 triggers on Omnith. So we can play Omnith, draw a card, like Lily talked about, replace himself. Then turn 5 or turn 4, more likely if we're ramping like we are. We get to play a land and get 4 more mana, and then I think we can just play Ugin, right? Play Ugin. Because of the garbage fire that is standard, I have not built any standard decks. I have just been playing limited and having a grand old time.
Well,
so,
then in like mid-range places too, you got like Ancient Green Warden and stuff too, and yeah.
It's kind of
okay. So Omnith is like Lotus Cobra, but like a mid-range Lotus Cobra is the big thing.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah. So Lotus Cobra, 2 mana, gets you 1 when you play a land. Omnith, if you get 2 lands, you get 4, so.
And then do other stuff that matters more late game than a couple extra mana.
So
Scoot Storm is stupid though.
Scoot Swarm is fine.
If Scoot Swarm starts swarming on turn 5 or turn 6 or turn 7, that seems to be okay. But the problem is the Omnith life gain coupled with the Uro life gain makes it so aggro decks are struggling to kill these guys.
Bugs. Cute little bugs.
And so the bugs are coming out much sooner than 5 or 6 or 7. And I mean, the interesting thing is I've seen deck lists, like I've been looking at some deck lists, like Scoot is one of the win cons, but it's certainly not the only one. Somebody was talking about how like the adventure beanstalk giant that's power toughness equal to your lands, like you can run the new fling land, the new modal faced fling, and just like someone like just fling a 30/30 at them after you've taken a 16-minute turn ramping and doing all sorts of dumb shit. That's my problem is, so I will admit I haven't played standard yet. I didn't want to. I normally start by playing limited. so I can kind of build up some packs. I don't even open my packs until I've like burned through all my draft tokens, so I can. It's a little bit better to open packs after you've had a chance to draft. You're able to get the set more quickly.
You're gaming the system.
I mean, it's just one of the. It's a way to make sure you fill out the set more quickly. Because let's say you open all your packs and you luck out and you get say 3 or 4 Jaces or Nahiris, and then pack 1 of my first pack in the draft is a Jace or Nahiri. I'll get gems for it, but I'm not building my set collection. So if I play a bunch of limited, take all the bombs and the dual lands that I want, and then when I open my packs, I'm less likely to get. I have duplicate protection, so then I can maybe start filling out getting 4 ofs. So that's the idea. But anyway, that's a quick tip for you if you're playing Arena. If you like limited, play a limited before you open your like 50 pack bundle. If you bought your 50 pack bundle, but I haven't played Standard. I heard it's a garbage fire. I saw a tweet saying there's going to be a ban. Why would I craft cards? I played some Brawl. I played some Limited. Has anyone played any Standard, or are we mostly just avoiding it because of it seems like a garbage fire right now? Maybe
Just been avoiding it mostly.
I plan on playing some of it, and I'll get frustrated, but I'll give it a college try.
I'm really excited to play it, but the frustrating thing is, it looks like Lotus Cobra and Omnith might be just too much by themselves for the deck. Uro's, I think, absolutely a problem. And I've seen people arguing left and right whether or not Uro's a problem. But if Uro's not a big enough problem to shut the deck down, they aren't going to ban a card from the new set 3 days after it comes out. They just won't do it. There's no way in hell.
I don't think that Cobra's a problem.
You don't think Cobra's a problem?
What I think the problem is that this mid-range deck has a 3-mana card they play on turn 3 that gains them 3 life and draws a card and then maybe ramps them. And then a 4-mana card that replaces itself and gains them 4 life. Like, how hard, like, your aggressive decks that would be able to run under mid-range decks normally, 7 extra life by turn 4?
Also, mono red, and I there might be some. I'm not sure if there's some like Boros. I've seen there's a couple lists I've got bookmarked on Reddit that look interesting. Like, I really want to try Paw Blade. I really like the new Nahiri. Mono red is super lacking in 1 and 2 drops right now. So like, aggro doesn't even seem like it has the tools to really. I mean, maybe there is I'm saying maybe there's a 2-color aggro deck, but like the traditional mono red aggro doesn't even seem like we have an option at the moment. No,
the land guy isn't getting you there.
Oh God, I don't.
You
think
got
that
some
card's good.
mill with the cacophony and the crabs.
Mill is apparently. I heard people on Reddit again railing against Mill. Like I said, I didn't come here. I didn't do a ton of Standard talk or prep just because I don't want to buy. I'm not build. I've learned my lesson on crafting a deck in the first week of Standard.
Besides the crabs, Maddening Cacophony is 1 in blue. It's got a kicker for 3 in blue. Each opponent mills 8 cards. If this spell is kicked, instead each opponent mills half their library, rounded up.
And the rogues.
That's pretty good. And you run 4 crabs, and then you run some rogues and stuff. I mean,
And then you just hard lose to Uro.
Well, Uro, I think you can mill out the Uro deck, right?
You just are going to let them cast him sooner.
That's true. I mean, yeah. So Uro comes. So yeah, you're blasting the Uro deck down. I saw a list. I mean, we're at the list. The post I saw was like, here's the anti-Uro control deck, which it was fun because I think they called it 8 Shark, which I love any time we get to do a deck naming convention like that. Based off the first deck like that was 8 Rack, right? Where we had the Rack, and then there were like 4 other cards similar to the Rack.
Yeah.
So that was an old discard deck. So 8 Rack or 12. And so that was a very old Magic deck name. And then sometimes we'll see like 12 Rack or 16 blank. 8 Shark is Sharknado, whatever, the Shark Typhoon and Voracious Great Shark.
Great Shark's a great card. I love that card so much. It might be my favorite Ikoria card.
It's a damn fine card.
It makes a cool animation too, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I think the Voracious. Yeah, I think it's got like a jaw. Do we have like a Jaws out like jumpy thingy?
I don't know. Every time I play it, I'm like, oh.
No, it's Jesus. I like the card a lot. Generally, I don't like counterspell staple to creatures, but 5 mana seems appropriate. Now, you're never going to get me to admit that when it counters my goddamn Ember Cleave, like it did a few minutes ago. But
it doesn't hit spells. It only hits creatures and artifacts.
I just really want to live the dream someday and play a thieving skydiver and steal an Embercleave. Yoink.
Get out. No, oh boy. Now, let's pay. Okay, so I think we seem to all, no one seems to be arguing that Standard's in a healthy place. Brawl. So I played Brawl for the first time yesterday. And I did my Nahiri deck, and it was kind of, I had a lovely stream. I don't know if we played any duplicate decks. If we did, it was only like, I think maybe we played two of like that new boar who goes out and I think it's a boar who goes out and gets 2 lands.
The goodest pick.
He's an okay pig. He's not I feel like there's some slightly better pigs. But anyway,
That's
Mr. Pig to you.
He just wants everyone to have a good time.
I had a lovely time. Now, part of that might be I was not playing a very good deck. I was doing Warrior Equipment Nahiri Tribal. And I know that Wizards has been trying to set it up so the less competitive Brawl decks are maybe in a lower bracket, or like, I don't know, lower bracket might not be the correct wording to use, but more likely to go up against non-meta decks. But Lily, you said you've been really running into Omnith a lot.
Probably every third game.
Okay, so Omnith is our new Kin and Niv Mizzet sort of thing.
Right. So I've been seeing a lot of Garruk. I've been seeing a lot of sorry, so there's 2 other something black grindy control decks I've been running into.
Have you the Death Touch green black 1/3 who just like that guy and a bunch of removal?
Yeah, but I don't have an issue with that deck. The Garruk one, Crux, that has a problem with. But specifically, like, the Kinnan decks are fine now. Like, Kinnan is just like lost so much in rotation.
Was it just he lost so many? There's just so many mana dorks gone. You can't the really nasty stuff.
Kind of. So Kinnan's still good, but Kinnan isn't like the fast Kinnan is dead. So like the mid range, like really like generate value Kinnan is still there, and like the deck, like my go-to for Brawl can deal with that, but like it couldn't really deal with the fast Kinnan. So Kinnan seems to be okay now.
Kinnan did also lose the boar that gave everybody +2/+2 and haste and trample. That's a big loss.
And the X spell, the finale.
So this does bring me to a question about Standard and Brawl. Do you think the unhealthy part of Standard and anything that extends into Brawl is, because I'm kind of thinking that it's not the fault of Rising Zendikar. It's kind of the fault of the things of the previous sets like Theros Beyond Death that we've had problems with, with other cards. And it's still just like spreading into like what we're still having problems with, like when they print new cards that get you, any sort of ramp, and
I don't.
Go ahead, Lily.
I don't know that Uro is really good. Uro is probably a problem, but like in the Brawl deck anyway, like Omnith as a commander is just enough on his own. Gonna cast him turn 4, gonna cast him turn 5, gonna cast him turn 6, and then they're just up enough life that I can't play beatdown against that, and I can't outvalue it. And then they're just dumping their entire hand every turn.
Someone pointed out interesting, like M21 was the first set that didn't have a ban in like a full year. And like Theros had Theros really affected like Eternal formats quite a bit. With Underworld Breach, and Uro's running rampant in a lot of places. It seems like a lot of people are calling. I've seen a lot of people placing Uro up on the Oko pedestal of this is not a card that should have existed. This is a card that is ruining Modern. Like Legacy is running a ton of Oko. Like I've seen people say just take Uro out of everything. Omnith seems like a Standard problem, maybe a Pioneer problem. I'm curious how hard they tested Omnith, because I wonder if in their head there was like 4 mana of like a four color legend of different colors. Like that's not going to see play. Like the fixing got worse when we lost Shocks, but when you have Goose and Uro and Lotus Cobra to fix your mana, and the pathway lands seem really nice. Like I really like I don't think they're too much, but like the new modal faced pathways that are 1 land on one side, 1 land on the other, those seem really nice. And like seem decent at fixing your mana, particularly when you're trying to hit like 4 distinct colors.
Well, temples are also really good for fixing. Like I know, yeah, we lost the shocks that got worse, but in that kind of deck, the temples are super good for it. Because like the Omnis deck can run six of the temples. And I think it does.
See, I haven't looked at a ton of lists, so I don't know exactly what their mana looks like. But clearly they aren't struggling to hit 4 different colors on turn 4 or turn 5.
Oh, right. Well, I mean in Brawl specifically.
Oh, okay. Okay. What's up, Tim?
I think it's really interesting the conundrum that we find ourselves in, because obviously I play other card games. Magic's not my main game, but Standard for the most part is very, very healthy. There's a few outliers, but it's not like so nutty as it is. And every time that we have a new set pop off for Magic, I feel like Standard gets, as we say, broken. Yeah. But all of the legacy formats seem to be fine. And the main card game that I play, it actually feels like the opposite, right? It feels like our Standard is really, really good. But when you take and you just toss these Standard cards into a legacy format, it gets kind of a little crazy, because these cards just weren't like quote unquote made to exist in this time capsule, you know?
And it's interesting because we have I think we're certainly dealing with a different conundrum now. I would say our Eternal formats are being affected by this stuff. They have been really pushing the power level, and I think the problem in Magic is coming with a desire to make cards that are more Eternal playable and and I think a big part of it is Commander playable. People want impactful Commander cards in their Standard set, so to give them a reason to buy blingy Commander boosters. Now, I don't know if I buy that someone higher up at Hasbro said stop doing play testing as well and just put powerful things. Like, I don't know if that happened. I'm a little hesitant to buy that conspiracy theory, maybe. But I think a focus on let's give Commander players toys and maybe Modern and Legacy players has made it a problem, because our Standard sets didn't used to touch those formats. Maybe 1 or 2 cards would see a little bit of play, but now, like, people in Legacy, someone was saying, like, everyone in blue decks is splashing green for Uro, everyone in green decks is splashing blue for Uro. We had to ban a ton of cards in Legacy. We had to ban a card in Vintage. And that's coming from a place where our formats didn't used to affect those formats, and maybe a push to have them affect those formats has messed up those formats and messed up our Standard environment.
Yeah, because I think this is one area where Magic benefits a little bit from its long history, because we had a number of sets there where, like, there was just not stuff that you would put in high power older formats that had access to a lot of power, because they have access to, like, what is the best card over, like, this 25-year history in some cases, you know, like.
Yeah, it's like we're not going to get a new
power. Yeah, the power level is just so high that, like, we're only now just entering the phase of, like, when we're printing these really powerful cards in, you know, Eldraine and, you know, Zendikar Rising and just beyond. Like, we're just getting cards that are powerful enough to stand up to the power of 25 years. And if you put it in that kind of perspective, that we're printing cards recently that are powerful enough to upset the balance of 25 years worth of cards.
Yeah.
It's a weird place we find ourselves, because for the longest time they're not going to print a counterspell better than counterspell, or that you're going to run over force. Like, if you're running Force of Wills and you want more counterspells, you're going to run counterspell. If you want a red removal spell, a red burn spell, they're not going to make a better lightning bolt. But now I feel like we're really pushing those mid-range value creatures and planeswalkers. And so now decks get to say, I'm running Force of Will, I'm running lightning bolt, I'm going to run Uro. And yeah, I'm not happy. It's one of those weird things where there felt like there was a very distinct shift in Eldraine, and they straight up told us they were going to try to make sets stronger. And they have, but they haven't made a balanced Standard environment in a year now. We had rotation. The new set came out.
Just be glad those decks can't splash Oko.
Golly. And every time somebody has to, and I feel like we say this like every other week, and everyone's saying it, but I'll say it briefly here. They thought a deck running Uro and Oko and Once Upon a Time and Veil of Summer would be fine. And Omnith and Lotus Cobra. They thought that would be fine.
We wouldn't have, not to nitpick, but we wouldn't have had Omnith and Lotus Cobra at the same time as Veil.
Oh yeah, you're right. Veil rotated out, but we would have had Once Upon a Time and Oko.
Yup. Oh Lord, like the bigger problem I see is it hasn't, like, it's gotten worse in the last year, but it's been bad since Kaladesh.
I feel like I felt like there were some bumps. It hadn't been it hadn't been every set. Like, and I'm willing to give them cut them a little bit of a break on Kaladesh because A, artifact set, and B, they had to adjust how standard rotation was going to be. They never got to do it how they wanted it. So like they had some interactions they didn't intend for. But Eldraine on saying we're designing with fire, we're doing this. And also part of this is if Eldraine on they said we're doing fire, we're doing this, it takes time to adjust. So maybe in the next 4 or 5 sets, we're going to see that adjustment happen. And
Can I
like,
see something about rotation changing?
not recently that I'm aware of. Rotation, they tried to change it back during, I think, right around Kaladesh, the Eldritch Moon return to Innistrad period, but nothing recently unless I've completely missed something big.
Right.
Okay, I thought I saw some picture of they were going back to like block rotation.
I mean, that would help.
I thought I saw a picture, and I was asking you guys.
18-month rotation are always knocking that last set. I am sad we don't live in the knocking the last set out world. I think that would have been a better world to live in.
Nobody tried it before they got up in arms about it. Like,
getting back to like that though, like, is it necessarily a terrible thing that we're getting powerful enough things that it shakes Magic to its core a bit? I mean, like, there is like an element of like that really makes Magic like super fresh. I mean, obviously they ban things and it's frustrating, so the arguments against this are pretty big. I'm asking, is there an upside to this?
I'd say yes. Lily and I don't think we agree. Lily was saying that you're not really enjoying the limited format here. Ikoria and Zendikar Limited so far have been very fun for me. So like, I feel like the limited environments have been very interesting. Also someone who like just plays. I don't care if you ban a card on Arena. Like I really don't care because you give me wild cards and I have a lot of wild cards. Like it's not hard to have a big collection on Arena if you play as regularly as I do and are willing to drop money on sets.
Like you buy print, but like we will have print again. And the problem with banning this many cards is you like, heaven forbid you crack open a pack with this banned card.
I mean, if they ban Uro, which I think they're going to, Uro's $30 or $40 right now.
55.
55. So over $200. So if you were playing this in paper, and I'm sure some people probably do have it for paper, but if FNM was in the full swing and they banned this card, that is $200 that people are out in their standard decks. In Arena, I get 4 mythic wild cards and I move on with my life.
Right. Well, so
I'm gonna cut in real quick.
Sure.
Have I told you guys about Jasko's redemption plan?
No.
That happens for another card game. So in Universes, the main card game that I play, they have just very, very recently started this banned card turn-in. So on every single one of the Universes card packs, they recycle packs, and X amount of packs gets you a thing, right? So if you want staple cards like our Counterspell, or you could trade in 200 card packs to get a mat, right?
And just to make it clear for people, those are the wrappers.
Correct.
Booster wrappers, not the packs themselves, but the refuse leftover.
Proof of purchase.
And they have just recently taken, and we had 2 ultra rares banned inside of standard because they were very, very good. And so Jasko made a program that was, hey, if you send in your ultra rare, if you literally mail in your card, we'll give you these pack points. And so you could trade your ultra rare, your banned ultra rare, our bad, whoops, and you could get a playmat out of it. Of whatever art that you wanted, or you could save up and get Jasko bucks and trade it in for XYZ thing, kind of like what's happening on online for you getting your 4 wild cards, but this is us happening in paper.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting.
Like this change your perspective of them pushing the power level? If they say, "Whoops, our card was a little rough. Here's a buyback." Because it does feel really rough packing a $50 gambling, getting that $55 card and going, well, this is a really cool coaster.
Well, the problem is with Magic, it's not a coaster, because very, very rarely is a card banned from every format.
Right.
So Oko is still like a $15 to $20 card because Commander and Legacy and maybe Vintage players want him.
I think he'll hold 30 plus even if he gets banned.
So like Uro, unless they ban Uro in everything, which they won't ban him in everything.
Sorry, yeah, I think Uro is going to hold 30 plus even if he gets banned.
So it's one of those weird things where like I really like that Jasko's doing that because I know you guys don't have that many formats. So when they ban a card, you're kind of done. If we ban a card, you might go, shit, I lost 30% value. I don't play Commander. My friend does. I'll sell it to him. So like we just have so many formats. Or like even like a cube player might say, hey, I want Oko for my cube. I want Uro for my cube. Just with how many formats we have, I do not think many people would take advantage of that kind of program for Magic because it is easier for our banned cards even to keep value.
Fair.
Yeah. Like I was thinking that there might be a world of like you just kind of play standard and limited, and that's like what you do, and you don't have like a whole lot of friends and stuff that would like value from that card. I mean, like obviously you could sell it and just buy more packs or something like that, but I don't know. People are lazy. I could see some people taking advantage of like, I send in this card, you send me 3 packs, and that's all I have to do.
So like one of the things about this that makes it different too is local game stores. You'd be hard pressed to find one that does not do Magic buying and selling. And a lot of cards are going to hold some of their value even after they get banned in standard.
So yeah, that Uro person there, JC, they could say, I just play limited. I'm lazy. Here are my 4 Uros game store. I want a box, and I don't want to pay for my next 6 drafts, 7 drafts. Here are my Uros, and
plus, I mean,
we're done.
Card's really good. I mean, Magic's got a long history, so there's the part of you that like you might just hold on to that card for a while. Maybe it'll get unbanned, or like it'll be okay in a different format or something like that later down the line.
Like Commander, if they don't reprint Uro, Commander players are going to want Uro. Uro's, I don't think you're wrong, Lily. Unless something radical happens, Uro's going to stay a pricey card even if they ban him in standard. Now I feel bad because sometimes a ban is going to negate a whole deck. It's just not that hard to put an arena deck together if you're a consistent player. That's one of the reasons. I don't play standard for a multitude of reasons, one of which being I don't have the time to give up 4 hours every Friday, or I'm not willing to give up 4 hours of time every Friday. And we're living in a global pandemic where I can't leave my house for like 8 months. But I just think that there's arena seems to be becoming the primary standard thing, and bans piss me off less because we can adjust so much quickly more quickly with arena. I don't know. JC, I am inclined to kind of lean towards you of I really like it when they push cards because then I get a cool limited environment and my Commander decks get awesome. And Commander's their big showy format, and I'm curious how much they care that they're messing up standard because they can just ban some stuff, and I don't know if that bothers me that much anymore. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but
I very specifically don't like that mindset. Like that whole, well, we can just ban stuff. Like, yeah, okay. If you never get a card banned, you're probably not pushing enough. But that doesn't mean the sweet spot is like 2 or 3 cards every set. Like,
yeah, well, I will. Oh, go ahead.
And it wasn't like. And people played and enjoyed Standard before this was happening. People played and enjoyed Commander before we started getting cards specifically pushed for the sake of Commander. Like, these formats existed and people played and loved them before they started being specifically catered to. And I think the problem is that when you try to engineer something that is emergent, you often end up fucking it up really hard.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the reality of chasing the popular thing. Commander came out, let's make Commander stuff. Commander has been irrevocably changed. I'm not going to say it's been made worse, but it's been changed. And Lily, I will absolutely yield the sweet spot argument. I don't think we're at the sweet spot, but I am more comfortable pushing and banning and saying, 80% of our standard players are digital and we can ban more things. Because there were sets where I would open boxes and go, none of this is going in a commander deck.
Right.
None of this is that exciting. Like, and a part of it is because these are dual face cards and they're super versatile. But like, I can't think of a set that I'm going to probably put like almost every single one of my commander decks is going to get some updates with Zendikar because there's just so many fucking awesome goodies.
I mean, then that is the argument too. Like, how often in the recent history, like before this like push on cards, did you have regular set releases where you would update your more eternal formats with cards from that set because they were that good?
Okay, well, hold on. Commander or actual, like, real, like, competitive Eternal format?
Modern Legacy kind of stuff.
Like, I'm kind of speaking more Modern Legacy, actually, in this regard.
Now, and here's an interesting thing, JC. Like, as a viewer of these formats, like if they're a tournament, I used to watch Legacy. If there's a tournament that's an Eternal format, I'll watch it, and I dabble in Pioneer. But from what I understand, and this might just be a kind of the Reddit echo chamber, a lot of players in these formats don't like the formats being shaken up. One of the things they like is that the format's kind of consistent. And like Legacy, just because Legacy wasn't shaken up doesn't mean there weren't a lot of viable decks. I've heard a lot of people kind of railing and saying, we don't want you pushing for Modern. We don't want you pushing for Legacy. You're upsetting our formats that we're used to. Mess up Standard. Stop messing our stuff up. Now, I don't know if that's the majority of Eternal players, but I certainly have heard that argument. As a Commander player, fuck up whatever you want. Commander's got a social contract. If something's too gross, we just won't play it. Yeah. But Modern and Legacy players don't get that ability to just say, oh, this was too much. Oops. If Uro's too good, Uro's everywhere.
Because that was my thought, actually, like in kind of like barring Commander, other kind of more Eternal formats, is that I know there's like an element of like you build these decks, you spend a lot of money on it, you play with this deck, like you tweak it minorly and you just keep grinding and getting better at Magic, you know? But and I could see like the resistance to like, well, suddenly they're printing cards that shake up a format that I'm used to, that I've been grinding in, that I know what it's about, you know? But I was wondering if there's an element of the player base that likes that there are cards that, you know, can shake that up and can push that a little bit.
So here's the thing with that. There are formats for that. They're called Standard.
I think JC, I think it would be unfair to say that there are not Eternal players who are enjoying this shakeup. I think that might be true. And like another thing to point out, like Jumpstart, Modern Horizons 2. Now, Modern Horizons fucked up a lot of shit in Modern, but I think like Jumpstart added some really cool stuff. So like I'm glad that I think there's likely players out there that like Allosaurus Shepherd. There are probably some Elves players who are thrilled about Allosaurus Shepherd. They aren't thrilled that the card's over $50 because we can't print Jumpstart because pandemic. But like I don't know. I'm with you, JC. Like I don't play these like the competitive Eternal formats, but I would be very interested to see the numbers of people who are upset versus people who are more engaged because of these changes. And I can't say one way or the other, but I would. That's a bit of information I'd like to have.
Wizards, we know you watch this show. Send us
yes,
some stats.
Mark, come on, pay up.
Okay, I'm going to say something that I think is a little more controversial than I was saying before. Okay, we can agree that the amount of bans that we're getting is not the sweet spot.
I will yield that.
Is the amount of bans that we're getting worse than no bans?
I would rather live in this world than in Ixalan level power.
Yep. I would rather live in like this food's too spicy than this food sucks.
If we're getting there's things I like from Ixalan, don't get me wrong. The power level is not one of those things. If bland, unaffecting sets coming out versus we've got to ban a couple cards every set, I'd rather we ban a couple cards every set. I play a lot of other formats. I'm sure there's a lot of Standard grinders who think I'm a moron for saying that.
Also,
but that's where I come down.
A lot more fun when the sets are really powerful.
Oh yeah, these ban announcements are great for us making content. My God,
it's exhausting. I am.
I mean, that's fair. It is exhausting.
I feel like I don't have anything new to say about it. Is the big thing. It's like, yeah, you push your stuff too much. You make threats that are answer or die that immediately replace themselves on top of that. Like, what more is there to say? Don't.
That's fair. I feel like, yeah, sometimes I feel like we go in a little bit of circles because we just don't have Wizards did it again. Let's talk about how they did it again, how we feel about them continuing to do this, and that's it. We've said a lot about this. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I guess we have talked about this topic for a while.
A while. I forgot to set my timer, but it's been a bit.
Unban it all. Let's let the Wild West happen, huh?
Oh Lord.
Let's just have shootouts in the street. That's what I'm thinking.
I do think Wizards should do a event, like a week-long event, where they do the thing where you don't have to have any of the cards, but they just go no ban list standard, and they just say, build whatever deck you want. Here's a little event. Our bad. This is what it would have been like. I think that would be fun. Or maybe like someone suggested like the 2 weeks before a set rotation you do it. I don't like the idea of making people have to craft banned cards, but I think it would be fun to just let people go wild and see what standard would have been like if Wizards hadn't banned anything.
I think it'd be a cool idea if there was actually a cool prize for it.
That'd be a fun tournament.
You play Simic the best.
Yeah, it might. The problem is like,
kinda, yeah, like you want to run Lutri and Oko? You sure can.
oh god, I
Also
forgot
fine.
Yorion. Just imagine these decks, but also Yorion. Oh god, damn it. Okay, anything else before we move to commercial break? They did it again, team. I guess that's it. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we're gonna be right back, and we're gonna talk more Magic.
This episode of Study Hall is sponsored by InkedGaming.com. Are you looking to get a custom playmat? Well, then we suggest you check out InkedGaming.com. They have custom playmats, dice bags, mouse pads, and so much more. They even recently added a stitch option to their playmats and mouses as well. Inked Gaming lets you play your game with your style. And if you want 10% off your entire order, use the code TCG University, all caps, no spaces at checkout, to help support us by customizing your game to your style. Cards Custom Build. Are you into cosplay? Looking to get into cosplay? Do you want to show up to events dressed as your favorite character? Well, then Cards Custom Build can help. Cards Custom Build creates everything from cosplay accessories like props, trinkets, weaponry, all the way up to full-blown costumes. Do you want your costumes made from a perfectly flowing cloth or maybe a rigid battle armor? Well, Cards Custom Build has you covered. Their work is guaranteed to make you the talk of the con. So go over to Cards Custom Build either on Facebook or on their Etsy account. Links will be in the description down below. And make sure you mention that TCG University sent you their way, and you'll get 5% off your entire order. Dex Protection is on a never-ending pursuit to create the highest quality storage and protection accessories. Their design and innovation comes from die-hard gamers and collectors just like you. So they know when you... Dex Protection is on a never-ending pursuit to create the highest quality storage and protection accessories. Their designs and innovation come from die-hard gamers and collectors just like you. So they know what you want in the products that you buy. They're constantly taking in feedback from their customers, and they have no plans of stopping their innovation or drive to refine the products until they are recognized as a leader in their industry. They make terrific products, all with the avid gamer and collector in mind. So go ahead, check them out. A link will be in the description down below. Red Riot Games. Red Riot Games is a personal friend of the show. They are the new kids on the block when it comes to singles delivery. They have currently Magic, Pokemon, and Universes singles available to you. So if you're interested in those card types, please go out to redriotgames.ca. Like I said, a new kids on the block in the singles market and are looking to make a really big splash. And they have partnered up with us to give you the absolute best deal possible. Once again, redriotgames.ca, and at checkout, if you use the code TCG_University, you'll get 10% off your entire order. Once again, Magic, Universes, Pokemon, they're coming up in the world, so you'll definitely want to get in on the ground level. Red Riot Games. This episode is sponsored by Nuclear Ink Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop. At Nuclear Ink, you'll find a very inclusive environment with artists that share your interest in nerd culture and fandoms alike. Nuclear Ink pride themselves on being Omaha's premier all-custom tattoo shop. So, if you're looking to get a custom tattoo, please check out Nuclear Ink here in Omaha, Nebraska. A link will be in the description down below.
Welcome back, everybody. To wrap the show up, we're going to take a couple steps back from lamenting / discussing the current state of magic at the moment, and we are going to talk about favorite planeswalkers. Tam suggested this. I'm super down to talk about it. Lily, would you like to go first? Or JC? Who would like to go first? Because I'm ready, but I feel like my answer might be a little obvious.
I'll go first.
All right,
my
JC.
answer's pretty obvious too. Sarah is my favorite planeswalker. Let me tell you a little bit about Sarah. Sarah was born with tremendous amounts of power, love of angels, created her own plane full of angels, created a whole religion around her and her angels, and then fell in love, got like killed on the street, like, and after a breakup was like so sad that she just decided like life wasn't worth living. Not that she couldn't fucking save herself, because Sarah is like crazy powerful. So she could have just been like I'm back alive. And that's what's I like most about Sarah, and forgive like the kind of like obvious religious figure like kind of mix here, but like Sarah coming back from the grave is like absolutely a thing I believe Sarah could do.
I do want to throw out Sarah. It was a pre-mending walker, so power levels were a tad bit higher before that whole mending situation, which we've talked about in previous episodes.
Was Sarah one of the like OG kind of like powerful punchers?
Yes, because Sarah Angel was in Alpha, right?
Yeah.
So when Sarah Angel was printed, Sarah was not a character yet. That was a play on the word serrated.
Yes, but so they didn't have a lot of the characters planned out in Alpha. They just did kind of fantasy-y things. But she was a pretty early on when they started saying like, "Hey, let's make these characters." She's an old walker, and she's an old story walker.
And I think that comes from like me being like way back in 5th edition when Sarah Avatar was cool.
No, that's a really. I was not expecting Sarah. I was not expecting Sarah at all. Really, let's go around and say ours and do a little bit, and then I want to kind of talk about the why. Lily, who is your favorite walker? You ready to go?
Oh Lord, mine is also an old walker, but not in the old story. Liliana Vess.
Okay.
Emotional abuser.
Why do you like Liliana? Why is she your favorite walker?
She's a necromancer.
Oh, we had a little bit of a stutter there. Sorry, we had a little bit of a stutter there. All I got was because she's a necromancer.
Right. It is incidental that we have a similar name.
Okay, so you're just a fan of the archetype?
I like that kind of character. I like that she is a complicated character. I liked her whole thing during the Dominaria stories where she was like, I'm going to try to be a good person, and like was bad at it, but like was actually trying.
I mean, was she trying?
Yes. We had like a couple stories that were from her perspective that was like her giving it an honest go. And I like the stuff between her and Gideon where he like honestly like was seeing the good in her, and she was like, all right, I can trust this guy. Like the only person in my whole life I've ever trusted. And then like say what you will about the books. Like I thought how that whole thing with Gideon and her ended was like good for her character, where it's like the one person who honestly believed in me without me having to try is now gone.
Not only gone, gave up his life for my life.
Right. What does that mean about who I am? Like, where does that put me? And I like that. I like that kind of, like, I feel like it's a sincere, honest, like, path to potential redemption without the, like, without the bullshit. Oh, I've turned over a new. Like, I feel like the way that she's reacted to is reasonable for the shit that she's done to people.
I think that tracks. No, and I will say the War of the Spark book, the first one, schlocky trash, but fun schlocky trash. Not speaking on the second one, but that was absolutely the best part of the book, the emotional core of the book. So yeah, no, that was a really good. I like the War of the Spark story beats, and I thought that was an incredible resolution. Tam, do you have a favorite planeswalker?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's your favorite walker?
Jace, obviously. Jace is so fucking cool.
Why do you like Jace?
Cool wizard guy, does sweet illusion magic. He likes blue. I like blue. Blue's cool. A lot of blue going on in his pictures. For most of the show, I sat here and kind of listened to you guys because I don't have a ton to say about stand-up, but I wanted to really talk about Jace. And like, my most recent Dungeons and Dragons character is like very, very Jace-like. Like really Jace-like. I made a essentially wizard rogue combination, and that like Jace's like thing about him being at the top of top of the I can find it. Top of the social sphere from like blackmailing, and like that's just like he fucks with people's mind and memories, and like there's just so much that's happened with Jace, and like he's just a real smart dude. And I cannot mention again how much he likes blue. There's so much blue going on. What a blue guy.
I might just throw this out here. I will pay an amount of money more than 50, but less than 100 if someone wants to custom art Mind Sculptor into a Chris Angel Mind Freak.
That'd be a good altar. So my favorite walker, this is not a surprise, it would be Chandra. My Chandra Funko Pop is over there serving as pseudo Warhammer 40k terrain on my gaming table.
Chandra Nalar.
But Chandra Nalar, favorite walker. The why on that's really interesting because so she was one of the first 5 walkers. There was a point right around original Zendikar where I kind of shifted from more of a green mage into a red mage.
That's fair. Shifted from Stompy to Burn.
And it was one of the cards that really excited me was the original 6-mana terrible Zendikar Chandra. Chandra Blaze, I believe. But I really liked that card. That card kind of spoke to me, and that was kind of when I sort of settled into I'm into the Pyromancer thing. I was never... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I kind of like her story, too.
No, and so initially it was just, I like the card, I like how she looks. I knew a little bit about the story, but not much. As it's gone on, I really appreciate the character. She's incredibly earnest. I identify a lot with the color red. Magic players always will pick their colors like, oh, I'm this color, I'm that color. And yeah, red is a big one for me. And they did a good job of making an interesting, but very much a standard kind of template for a red planeswalker. Her story is interesting. Even just the little voice lines they stick in Arena are very appropriate. Like they have a good cohesive thing. Obviously, them bumbling the shit out of the whole Chandra Nissa thing was an absolute garbage fire. The writers for her were absolutely there's a phrase that one of the creative people who had worked on the initial concepting of her and kind of her and Nissa was it was like a pansexual mess, I think is what they described her as.
Like that archetypal, like uselessly attracted to whoever.
Yeah, I have a lot of I just like that. I like that archetype. I feel a lot of kinship with that, and I love Chandra. I hope they can get her story kind of more back on track. I also like the fact that like her mom, like most of the time, like we're based on superheroes here, and a lot of times we have to have like gritty backstory. A lot of the walkers we have a pretty gritty backstory. And she did not saying she didn't. She had to flee a world that didn't appreciate her magic. She saw her parents were murdered, grew up in a monastery, very superhero-y. But then she found her mom, and now she spends a lot of time at home with her mom. And like, I like that. I think it's very realistic. That's a very humanizing thing. And she's a fun character. And she's just archetypal enough to really like. She's kind of become the main character. For a long time, Jace was the one, and I'm happy to see Wizards focusing on Chandra sort of as like the main poster child. And like, I think that I'm really looking forward to the Netflix show. I like Chandra. I have moved from like, oh shit, there's planeswalkers. What are these new cards? To oh, this planeswalker is kind of cool. To anticipating every new story / walker with Chandra. So. She's just a fun character, and it just feels very magic, and it feels very kind of like post-mending new magic, and that's the kind of magic I like.
I mean, Brett. There's not a lot of blue on this art.
There's
like Casey got a lot of blue going on.
There's a lot of red going on.
There is quite a bit of red. Yeah.
I'm curious. Who did you expect me to pick?
Huatley.
Arlen Cord.
Oh, I do like Watley.
Now,
I like those dinosaurs.
And I wanted to so it wasn't so much that I was
Spell
shocked by Sarah, JC. The thing that surprised me is I wasn't even thinking about old walkers. Now, Sarah does have a card, so like if you would
She
have
does
said,
have a walker card. She is a walker.
but I mean like there's a lot of people who might say like there's some walkers that never had cards that are slowly getting them now. But like in my head when I hear planeswalkers, I don't think old walkers. I don't think Urza or Sarah or there's a really dumb, what's the dumb one? General something. There was a really dumb name planeswalker, and I'm totally blanking on it and feel dumb.
I'm blanking on it too.
But Commander is something. Commander is something.
But I can actually tell you, like, Sarah has been a favorite character of mine for a long time, and that's because I used to read I still do a lot of the flavor text and stuff like that on cards, and playing around the 5th, 6th, 7th edition era and stuff like that. There are a lot of references to Sarah and who she is and like what she does, and like,
And that's what you.
It got instilled in me that she's like a reverent character. And then when I got into Magic later, she actually got a walker card, and I learned more about her history, and it just made it like a connection for me, and it made her a really cool character.
And the interesting thing, back in the day when they told stories, they told you that this is Sarah's blank, Sarah's sanctum, Sarah's angel, and then you'd get the books and you could get the story, but Urza's blank, Yawgmoth's blank. And then the mending, they changed how they did it. They gave us Chandra, and they gave us the Lorwyn 5. They gave us Chandra and Jace and Liliana before they had really anything. And then they built the story from there. And it's kind of interesting that it's basically flipped. Back in the day, you got, this is how the characters impacted the world.
Yep. And
then down the road, once they've kind of shifted, we realized you guys want cards, here are the cards, as opposed to, here are 5 characters.
Yep. Because
let's write some stories, team.
Like Sarah was very much a character, if you were playing an old Magic, that you would get on a lot of flavor text and a lot of references to her. And if you didn't like really dig deep into Magic to find out who she was, you were just casually playing with your friends, you'd start to get in your mind, who the fuck is Sarah?
No, and it's an interesting kind of storytelling where that's the I want to know more. And now it's a much more direct storytelling, and I think we've lost something and we've gained something. I don't think there's obviously benefits to both. If it's some real world building when you have somebody come out and say, I want blank, but I'm also glad they've realized it's like, we want to play with these cards. We don't care if they're super strong now or if they're more powered down, kind of just mages who can planeswalk. But like, they gave us a Yawgmoth card. Oh my God. I was so happy when they gave us a Yawgmoth card. There are so many people who were just so thrilled for an Urza card. Lily? Sorry.
Not to nitpick, Yawgmoth is not and has not been a planeswalker.
He is not. I know. I'm character-wise.
Right. Also, Commodore Gruff. Let's see what you're thinking.
Commodore Gruff. Thank you. I knew it was
Gruff.
Because that's
Laura was stupid.
Oh.
Do you think it's interesting that none of us picked non-human characters?
I think it's not a coincidence at all.
I think it goes into what Morrow says. There's certainly a contingent who's very much into we want non-human walkers, and a contingent for non-humanoid walkers too. Go ahead, JC.
No, Lily was scolding me for something, but I was thinking that MMOs actually, the player bases of MMOs are usually human or human-looking characters.
Oh, yeah.
So like, WoW, humans, blood elves. People don't play Wargame because they looked stupid forever.
In Warcraft, before Blood Elves were a thing, there's a pretty even split between orcs and the undead, which were pretty similarly distant to humans.
Ray's frowning at you all because I think the hit on the Worgen's looking dumb. I think that's the...
They looked dumb for a long time. They don't look dumb anymore, but they looked dumb. Fight me.
I think it's very standard to say I'm in this fantasy thing. I want someone who looks like me or who reminds me of me or who's someone who I can see myself befriending or being romantically involved, like being romantically interested in. I think that's a pretty standard desire.
I do want to call out our chat vote for Urza as a planeswalker there.
Oh, Lord.
No, and that's the thing. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me it took them this long to make walker cards, and like it's interesting too that like they had to do the mending, but then they made planeswalkers in a format that would have even been appropriate to old walkers because you aren't killing them. They just show up, and if they get pissed off, they leave your ass. Like, they could have printed old walkers. They didn't have to make the mending. Walkers could still be wildly powerful. It's harder to write books about them when they're that powerful, but you could have had the card type. But it boggles my mind that we got past 25 years of Magic where the first, let's say 15 years of Magic's main character never had a damn card, and we're not counting Blind Seer. It boggles my mind that it took us...
not counting Blind Seer.
We are not counting Blind Seer because it doesn't say Urza. It's crazy to me.
Is Urza the quote-unquote main character?
He was for a while.
He was.
Oh my god, what an awful main character.
You know, and that's one of the things that people like about the story. He was absolutely the main character. He was not a nice man. He did a lot of bad things to save the world. He was very much a I'm going to do what it takes kind of guy. An interesting character, and like I think it's completely real. We have in the T Free Love in the chat talking about Urza fanboy since forever. It is crazy that you had to wait till Modern Horizons to get a card of Urza. And I think Wizards has really gotten their head out of their ass when they're printing their characters. You don't have to like how walkers are. You don't have to like mending, pre-mending, how the stories are told or whatever. It was stupid that they didn't print their characters. And that's one of the whole points of the Weatherlight. Like there's a point like, let's make human characters that we can print as creatures. When Tam, I can't remember if you were talking about the show or pre-show. I think it was pre-show. Talking about just how much you love the idea of planeswalkers. That's the thing we have. That's Magic's cool thing. I'm glad we can live in a world where we can embrace that and focus on it. When they made Planeswalker cards, they were only going to do them a couple other sets. The only reason we get 3 to 5 every set is because people love them.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't ever like an Urza fangirl when I was a wee lass. But Urza kind of fits the theme of Magic too as like a main character, because didn't he like explore a bunch of places and collect a bunch of things to gain more power, and he was like a really good artificer and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's the archetypal jack of all trades, wizard collector.
Which that makes sense because you're literally playing a collectible card game where you're collecting lots of different spells and artifacts to do powerful things.
It's really,
so I don't know. I think he was kind of one of those choices. You could be like Urza.
And I think they made I think they were certainly playing towards a kind of power fantasy early game where it's like, you are like this, you're this wildly powerful godlike being battling some other godlike being, and you've got all these minions. And look at Urza. He's cool, and he doesn't give a fuck, and he does this, and he does that, and he doesn't care about your feelings. He's an edgy, strong, cool mage. And I'm glad we've stepped away a bit from some of that edge. We still have dark tones. Let's actually talk about this in the post-show. This is a post-show topic. We're still launching into a whole new topic, and we are over time. Does anyone have final thoughts on favorite walkers before we head into the post-show?
No, I liked this topic. It was a surprisingly bright topic away from standard.
Alrighty. If we don't have any
blue in these Jace cards, I'm noticing a lot of real cool blue stuff.
What a coincidence. Well, that is going to be us for the main show, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. You want to catch me doing some brawling with Brett? I will be, playing Brawl again because rotation happened and I'm not burnt out on Brawl. So tune in every Wednesday around 6:30 Central, and I will be streaming on the Twitch channel. Does anyone have anything they want to plug before I end things? Maybe Shondalin, maybe JC doing some Shondalin. I can't say it now.
Keep watch on the Twitch channel. One weird evening you might have why is JC playing Chandalar at 2 a.m?
Please do.
And if we do that, Tam, I want some YouTube videos on that because I'm very keen to see that game. So that is us. Thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you sometime, if not before next week. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to remember who you are.